Hello and welcome everyone to what should likely be the finale of Chaos Child. Of course, we are in a new month, month of June, and so that means a new opening song. And I decided to celebrate Street Fighter 6 a bit and have something from Third Strike there as our summer music. Hopefully, everybody likes that more jazzy intro here we got here. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to make sure to hydrate right away because who knows how much So, for those of you who have did not see, kind of forgot last time or needs an update, we discovered Serica. There it is. The reason Serica was made, it was to make Takuru feel special by having him be part of something, and yeah, to basically be, have this big moment type thing. So she had our stepdad or foster dad mind control her to play all this out, keeping one step ahead of him. So she killed him. He ended up dead. And yeah, turns out she really was the mastermind. Basically. So yeah. All right. When I came back to reality, the first thing I saw was Serica's face. It was filled with despair, like she was about to cry. I'd never seen her like that before. I knew immediately that she'd seen the same things I had seen. Give me something I want to do. Help me do it. That was the terrible wish I'd made. Just Scarrick, thank you very much for the tier 3 subscription. 15 months now. Holy cow. Hey everyone, hope all is well. I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom, and while I've only got between 10 and 15 hours so far, I'm loving it, enjoying the revamped Breath of the Wild map. Also, anyone else getting anxiety, know how much of the map needs to be filled in? Oh god, yeah. Also been playing Warrior Land 3 for the first time and so enjoying it. Yeah, it's been a while since I played Warrior Land 3, but I think I remember enjoying it more than 4. But I know I'm weird in that way. Alright. That was the only reason why Serica Onaway existed. Laughter filled the theater. It took me a long time to realize that it was mine. The pain from the leg my dad had broken was getting worse, but the pain in my heart was somehow worse than even that. It's weird to see her worried. As I rose, Serica started to stagger backward as if she was terrified of me. When I saw her, I laughed even more. I'd survived the worst about my dad. I'd survived the worst that my dad could throw at me, and a single truth was about to drive me mad. I went forward, dragging my left leg behind me. I looked and saw that where I thought Serica had stabbed me in the stomach, she only cut a bit of the skin on my side. It hadn't even reached my organs. This wasn't a fatal wound, which meant this was also... It was all just a big show. The sword that Serica had knocked away came back to me. I reached out my hands for it. And then this ends with you declaring yourself to be the real killer. No, I guess not. That wouldn't mean that I'd solved it. It wouldn't feel real. Stop it. So that's it. Dad's job is to be the real killer. I kill Dad, then once I think it's all over, you knock me out, and then... No. And then you... Oh, I see, you manipulated the information that was sent to the public. Was that what you were doing with your phone? Did you call the police? Even without Arimura, I could tell that she was lying. Serica was crying. She was wiping away the tears with her sleeve. She looked like a little girl. No, she didn't just look like a little girl. She probably was one. She was only 6 years old. Yeesh. That's right. The guy in the New Generation case almost got publicly executed. You'd have arrested and dragged. You'd have me arrested and dragged before a bunch of people, right? And then what? Just when everything looked bleakest, evidence would come out that Sakuma was the real killer, and I'd suddenly be a hero? Was that it? Tell me, Onaway. My voice was shaking. The laughter was turning into something different. Man, Serica's voice actress has to do a lot. Serica kept crying and didn't answer me. Tears started to fall from my eyes and my vision began to blur. It was as if everything in our hearts was becoming tears and flowing out. When Utani died in the Don't Look at Me case, and Takanagi died in the leaky noise case, and when Orimura's friend Kakita died, and when Watabe the journalist died, and when Haida died and was made to look like Senri Minamisawa, and when Ito was mind-controlled into killing Yui, and when Nono died, all of that was my fault. No, I did it. That's right, you did it, and I made you. I told you that's not true. Serika's D-sword sliced apart some of the audience seats, but I kept going. Kunisada was right. Too many murders were going on around me. Sheesh. Of course they were. The whole thing was set up so that I could solve it. You killed my parents because I wished they would go away, right? Serika didn't answer. I didn't expect her to. The case was perfect. It was just what I wanted to do. I thought it was a great scoop. Any less than I wouldn't have wanted to follow it until the end, right? But in the end, after I solved it, all that I'd be left with was emptiness and the guilt from what I'd done. That's why I knew what I had to do. Dragging my leg behind me, I finally made it to the edge of the stage. I could see the steps down into the audience area. All that was left was to go down the stairs and out the door. Serika's expression changed. She was still crying, but she seemed shocked. Don't do it. Oh, he's going to go commit suicide. She must have used her mind reading to see what I was planning to do. She ran to the bottom of the stage to block me. Don't do anything stupid. But I looked straight at her as if to say that I wasn't changing my mind. Don't. I said, don't. Serika raised her D-sword and pointed it at me. It was a warning not to go any further, but I wasn't stopping now. You can't kill me, right? I can knock you out again. When you wake up, everything will be over. You might know what happened then, but eventually you'll realize. Realize what? What you really want to do isn't what you're thinking right now. It's to be the hero who solved the unsolvable case, the man who the whole world adores. That isn't what I want. You do, I know. No, I'm the only one who knows. Sheesh. Serika's words probably came from reading the deepest parts of my heart. I wouldn't deny that. She was right. If I just let her handle everything, I would be a hero. And if I kept going forward, all that awaited me was destruction. When I thought about that, it was scary. It was terrifying. But I still... Why? She was still holding the D-sword. It was clear that she had no intention of letting me go any further. I grabbed the hilt of my own D-sword and raised it as well. Come on, I said to her from on top of the stage. I said the same thing to her that she'd said to me in that black prison. Come up onto the stage, Serika Onaway. Sheesh. Basically, we're getting the confrontation him realizing that all these deaths were his fault. And Serika desperately trying to still make him the hero. I could see her on the other side of her D-sword, looking hurt. But she must have read my thoughts and realized that I wasn't going to change my mind, because she slowly came up. Hey, Jaden. The bright lights illuminated her beautifully. I took several steps back the way I'd come so I could keep my distance. Huh? I must have lost too much blood because suddenly I staggered. My vision blurred. With only my right leg working, I was barely able to keep my balance. I couldn't stop here. I couldn't. Why? Why are you trying to come forward as the killer? No, why are you letting them think it was you? The only ones who believe that are people down there, the wrong-siders. You're a right-sider, and they're the people you hate most. The ones who don't even realize they're being manipulated by false information. They're just a bunch of idiots who came to watch you kill yourself like they were watching a movie. If you say... Whoops! Accidentally hit L1. How do I stop that? If you say you're the killer, it'll be just what they want. Why didn't he kill himself? He's an asshole. No, he's a god. You can imagine what they'll say. I knew that. I could easily imagine it. The ones outside the Hikari building right now were probably the same ones who'd been partying at Shibuya Scramble Crossing earlier. There were probably a lot of people writing irresponsible comments online. The TV was probably filled with self-proclaimed social commentators who were telling the audience exactly what they wanted to hear. Alright. But I'd been the same way. Okay, sorry about that. I'm a wrong-sider. What? I didn't even know anything about the friend who'd been with me since I was a little kid. I gripped the D-sword tight. The game you created is over. The moment she hesitated, I struck myself on the back with my own powers. My vision blurred as I started to accelerate. I knocked myself forward and instantly closed the gap between myself and Serica. Caught off guard, she stepped back and lowered her blade. She was ready to swing it upward. I ignored her and brought mine down. She brought hers up. Taku, what are you going to do? Back then, another image came to me as the D-swords collided. Her sword knocked mine away, and I quickly brought it back for another strike. Hey, Taku, did you see something weird at the end of the video? Here, look, outside the window. Oh yeah, she just led him every step of the way. Or then. I saw flashes of several different conversations. I didn't know if they were my memories or hers anymore. But each time our D-swords collided, I saw another. Serica wasn't just a normal girl who everybody loved. She was a mastermind who'd set up this whole game for me. And she killed Nono and Yui, just to lead me to the end. You caught that detail during that moment? I guess I did. It's why I was suspicious of her for a while. Oh, congrats, Fa56. I've not really watched a lot of... I haven't gone back to Bleach in a very long time. The symptoms of the blood loss were getting worse. My vision was darkening, and it felt like I was about to pass out. She kicked me? The sudden fierce pain in my stomach knocked me off balance. I dropped the D-sword and flung up my hand to try and grab it again. Stop it! She kicked the sword away. It spun all the way to the edge of the stage. Stop it. Yeesh. I fought through the pain and used my powers on the D-sword. It flew high up into the air. I said, stop it. Serica screamed in rage, but I couldn't stop. The D-sword spun wildly as it launched itself at Serica. Damn it. She knocked it away, but I wasn't done yet. Take this. I used my powers to make the D-sword fly again. The sword attacked her once more. Who's going to end up dead? She knocked it away again? Each time it came at her, Serica knocked it down. I couldn't land an attack. Damn it. Why? Why? Oh. Then I realized that she was looking at me. She wasn't looking at the sword. That's right, her power. That's why I couldn't hear it. Really? Took you that long? The sword lost its energy and clattered onto the floor. I fell to my knees and collapsed. Hey, Horizon. You've had enough, right? Stop this, please. Damn, this wasn't going to work. She could read everything I was thinking. She knew the direction the sword was going to come, or more precisely, the direction I was sending it. This was bad. The room seemed to spin and sometimes my vision would dim. I couldn't move my arms or legs. I felt cold, like I needed to throw up. Just sleep. The police will be here soon. Don't worry. Once you wake up and time passes, you'll realize what you really want. Serica said it again. This was what I wanted. But I couldn't let myself believe her. What should I do? What do I do? What if I changed the direction of the lights to blind her and then attacked? But the second I thought it, she knew. What if I pretended to make the D-sword disappear and then concealed it somewhere on stage? The second I thought of it, she knew that too. That's right. You can't beat me. Please, just don't move. Don't open your wounds anymore. I didn't have the strength left to attack her myself. Even if I did, it was useless to try to attack someone who could read my thoughts. Then what could I do? Think. Stop it. Stop thinking about this. Think. There has to be a way. I was the one who created her. Then suddenly, I had an idea. Her expression suddenly changed. She was staring at me with wide eyes. Her mind reading meant that she already knew. She already knew exactly what I was thinking. But still, it doesn't matter. Even if she can't... This feels so tragic, my God. Even if she can read my mind, she can't stop this. When I saw the tension on her face, I was sure of it. There was still a way I could win. He's gonna non-exist in her. I formed a strong delusion in my mind. When I did, I was hit by a headache 1,000 times worse than when I normally use my powers. It was far worse than having a needle stabbed into my temples. It was like every blood vessel in my head was filled with thorns. The pain was so bad I started to vomit up stomach acid. Stop it. Please stop. Serica tried to run over to me and stopped. She kept turning around and looking at the exit near the seats. She seemed to be uncertain as to whether she should run, which meant that this idea was going to work. It wasn't something anyone had taught me, but I was sure that I could do it. According to Kunosato, I wasn't like the other psychics, who had each gained a single power after being exposed to what she called the causal factor. She said I might be a true gigalomaniac, with the power to make my delusions into reality. And in fact, 6 years ago, I'd created Serica, a human being. Know some people who felt destroyed by the first ending from Fate's Day Night visual novel? Welcome to the common root end, depression? No kidding. Sheesh, which means I should be able to do this. Yeesh. Of course I can, right? I twisted my body upward and screamed. A huge number of D-swords appeared above my head. Of course, they were all fakes. The closest weapon to me that I could easily imagine just happened to be my D-sword, but I'd real-booted them anyway. They shone like fierce beasts in search of prey. Oh God! I thought he was gonna unmake her. Not stab her like crazy. My head felt like it was going to burst. I'd imagine each blood vessel bursting one after another. Or was I really imagining it? Was this going to kill me? but I didn't care. I had to end it here. I had to let my puppet go free. Sarika changed the form of her D-sword and spread it out as far as it would go. She was going to try and block them all. I screamed and sent them all flying at Sarika. And so, alright, I won this goddamn game. Yay! Makes things even more tragic. This is a fight between two people who genuinely do love and care for each other. Sheesh. Hello? It's me. May I give you a lecture before we go to the ending? Miyashiro? Are you safe? What happened? Good. It connected. I could hear Arimori and the others calling my name on the other end. I felt so cold and my fingers were shaking. I turned the phone to speaker mode and started to type in the data. Let's say, for example, that you lived on top of a tall building. You looked down and saw a woman killing a man. You put the phone up to your ear to call the police, but your eyes meet with the woman's. She points at you and says something. What do you think she's saying? Don't tell me you're being mind-controlled. You know those psychopathy tests don't work, right? I should have figured she'd know about it. A normal person would say something like, don't move, don't call the police, but a psychopath would say something different. 1, 2, 3. She'd be counting what floor you're on. That's right, so that she can come kill the witness. Supposedly it's because they're thinking from the killer's perspective, not the victim's, but... There was only silence. She must have decided there was no point in answering. But she was listening. What should we do after the story ends? Let's add an hour of dialogue. Yeah, right. But I don't think that's right. If you ask me, a real psychopath wouldn't think that. If you asked Ed Gain or Henry Lee Lucas or any of them, really, they wouldn't understand the question. They'd be thinking about what they'd have for dinner tomorrow, or how they didn't like the clothes the questioner was wearing. They'd be thinking about something else entirely. It's the same with the Rorschach test or anything else. There's no meaning to the answers they give, because to them, it's all a goddamn stupid game. My fingers stopped. It felt like a long time since I'd seen that picture. So I wonder what they were thinking. No matter what you asked them, no matter what they said, they were actually looking at something else. One single goal. So nothing they said actually mattered. You're sure you're not being mind-controlled? What happened to Sakuma and Onoe? Are you okay? Excuse me. Kunosato must have sensed that something was up because the tone of her voice changed. You kind of knew about her, didn't you? The wound in my stomach and the pain in my head counted the time as regularly as a clock. Thud, thud, thud. There was a silence 10 thuds long. I don't know the exact details, of course, but if what I imagined is close to the truth, then... She was, without a doubt, different. In the sense that she was a serial killer, of course, but also that she was as different from normal people like us as you could possibly get. I'm sure, if you asked her that question, she wouldn't tell you about counting floors. Kunosato understood after all. She knew that something was wrong with Sarika. How could I have known, you think? It doesn't matter. Answer me. Are you safe? Don't worry about me. How do you think I could have understood her? I heard a small sigh on the other end, and then a sharp voice that cut it off. That's impossible. I told you she was a different kind of human. No, a different kind of creature. There was no way you could have understood her at all. Kunosato's use of the words different and normal. It was perfect, I thought. Serica was different. I was normal. Oh. What's wrong? I had a sudden premonition and looked down at the D-sword in my hand. I'd used this to create Serica. That's right, I'd created her. Which means I could do it again. No, it's nothing. I'm sorry. Please take care of the rest. Now she would understand. Kunosato and Shinjo could deal with all this. I went to hang up without listening for her answer. But... Wait, Miyashiro, tell me one thing. Yes? What is it? I said you were normal back there, but what would you say? You mean that question I just asked? Of course I wouldn't be counting 1, 2, 3. Of course I wouldn't say not to call the cops either. Because I saw both those answers on the internet already. I ended what would probably be the last phone call of my life. And then I forced myself to get up despite all the blood I'd lost. My vision blurred and I staggered. But I had to keep going. I couldn't fall over yet. That conversation is a roundabout way of demonstrating how Takuru and Serica are actually the same person, born out of and stuck in the egotistical mindset he had 6 years ago. Yeah, and the shame of it is he had started to finally get out of that mindset. I had an idea while I talked to Kunosato on the phone, about what I really needed to do with my powers, about the one way to save her, instead of releasing her. Serica was lying face down, unconscious. She was a mess. There was blood everywhere. But it wasn't fatal. She was breathing. She was probably just unconscious. I forced my wounded body over to her. I put both hands around the hilt of the D-sword I'd been using to support myself. The sword had no weight, but I felt like I'd drop if I didn't. She must have heard the footsteps because Serica gave a soft moan. She slowly raised her head and looked at me. I stood close enough to look down on her from the side. And then... Her eyes went wide with surprise. And then she started to crawl away from me. It sure is a convenient power, I told myself, now that it was too late. She knew what I was thinking without having me to even say it. But you won't need it anymore, though. No. Serica tried to get away, her fingers digging frantically into the stage as she crawled. She glared at me and got up, but then her strength failed her and this time she fell flat on her back. She gasped like she was drowning and quickly coughed up some blood. There were tears in her eyes. I readied the D-sword. Stop it, Taku. I stopped, just once. I'm not going to kill you, you know that. I'd rather you did. Her scream echoed violently in my ears. Why are you saying that? I was going to use my D-sword to change her. I was going to change her into a normal girl with no powers, who didn't kill anyone, who didn't even know that I'd created her. I was going to rebuild her into a normal girl. I can do that. I'm the only one who can. I'd created her from nothing. I knew I could do it. I could make her normal. No, I don't want to. She was crying like a baby. Was she scared? Afraid? Why? Don't take my reason for living away from me. She was weeping and her voice was desperate. I've read lots of minds since I was created. Everyone's always worried and no one ever knows what to do. I can't believe they live like that. How can they smile? They don't know why they're doing it. I don't want to be normal. Her voice bounced off the stage and hung over the empty seats. No one but me heard it. Her tears fell on the floor, mixing with my blood. No, you're going to be a normal girl. I spoke softly as I raised the D-sword high. No, please. Seriously, Fa 56, Serica is definitely MVP of this whole game as far as voice acting is concerned. Please, let me help you forever. I remembered what was in Nono's letter. Forget everything and live the same life as everyone else does, but don't get buried among the crowd. That's impossible for me now, but I know you can do it. This is it. Goodbye. And there we go. Since Serica was created by Takuru when he was at his lowest, most narcissistic point back in the day, she inherited all of his toxic mindsets. But as a doll to Takuru, she could never change. Takuru, on the other hand, had every opportunity to change and live a normal life, primarily with Nono pushing him in the right direction, and to his credit, he does try. But in the end, he chose to pursue the case instead every time. Him taking the fall and making Sarah normal is his way of repenting, and giving Serica the choice to pursue the normal life Nono wanted that he threw away. The choice he never had. Yeah, I figured that was about the case. Person of interest secured. Person's name is Takuru Miyashiro, 18 years old. He is a third-year student of Hekiho Academy. We have secured Takuru Miyashiro. February 2016. 3 months later. Morning at the Children's Welfare Facility. Jeez, Albert Dorm. You? I can do it on my own now. When Uki finished washing her face and came into the dining room, Yuto was already getting breakfast ready. I said I'd do it. No, you can sit down. Jeez, these two and Arimura are the only survivors of geez, this family got wiped out. She looked inside the kitchen and saw that Yuto had already done all of Uki's work for her. Fine, she thought. I'll do the cleanup myself. Then she sat in her chair without further complaint. Lately, Uki had learned to make a few dishes without resorting to the recipe scrapbook that Kurisu and Yui had made. Of course, her food didn't taste quite as good. But if nothing else, she wasn't trying difficult recipes and burning the pan like she'd been doing right after she came back here. After a short wait, Yuto brought all the dishes to the table. Thanks. Okay, let's eat. Let's eat. Yuto could also make simple dishes himself now. It was his idea, and he'd been working hard at it. 3 months after everything that had happened. With its owner, Sakuma, and Takuru, Kurisu, and Yui gone, Albadorm itself was in danger. The place had only survived because of Sakuma's salary, so that was natural. But when Shinjo had told them that it was safe to go back to Shibuya, they both insisted on coming back to Albadorm. Oh, later, Fa. Shinjo insisted it was impossible, but surprisingly, it was Momose who helped them out. She'd called in a few favors, and Alba Clinic had become the property of a completely normal private doctor, and some of the clinic's earnings were dedicated to keeping Albadorm alive. Of course, it wasn't a family like it was before. The doctor just worked at the clinic. He didn't manage the dorm. Instead, a nutritionist and nurse, both of whom said they were acquaintances of Momose's, would come by every day. But Uki and Yuto wanted to keep as much of their old lives as possible, so they wanted to make their own food. So on weekends and days when the nutritionist couldn't come, the two of them eagerly went into the kitchen. It's good. I cut it a little too thick, though. Only very recently had Yuto started to talk more. After what had happened to Yui and Nono, and then what he'd been told about Sakuma and Takuru, he'd become nothing but an empty shell. The one thing that had saved him was that even then, he'd stayed close to Uki. He wanted to be with someone. Of course, the wounds in his heart hadn't healed. No, they probably never would. The loneliness and regrets would come back to haunt him again and again. Uki herself sometimes had trouble sleeping at night. When that happened, she would go to Yuto's room because he was afraid of being alone at night, she would say, and the two of them would endure the terror together. The two of them were brother and sister, inseparable now. just like Nono and Takuru had been. Oh, right. About the proposal. Yeah? Uki's chopsticks suddenly froze. I'm okay with it. What? She didn't expect that answer. She thought Yudo would refuse. It would be better to have someone use them, I think. They were thinking of accepting new members at Alba Dorm, which would mean they'd have to use Takuru's or Nono's room. She wanted to save them personally. Nono wasn't coming back, but she wanted to believe that Takuru might. But if Yudo had made his decision, as the older sister, she had to support him. You're right. She smiled the best she could and started to eat more of her little brother's cooking. Ciao, it's Hine. The door opened and Hine Arimura walked into the newspaper club room. Oh, you guys get free period too, Hana? I am Groot. The owner of the room raised a hand in greeting without even looking up, like she always did. Her mood is good today. She learned how to tell from the sounds on the keyboard. Arimura sat in her usual spot and took out the book she was reading, Teru Miyake's famous 6,000 Lives and Deaths. There had been an awful lot of free periods lately, and during each one she would either come here or read a book, or work on a novel as part of her literature club activities. Miyashiro, Kurisu, and Ito were gone, so Kazuki was always here alone. And she almost never said anything. There was no need to worry about hearing lies. It was the perfect place for her. After the incident, she'd spent several weeks in Akihabara before suddenly being allowed to go back to Shibuya. Allowed wasn't the right word. She'd been dragged back here. She hated it, but even if it meant another fight with her family, there was nothing else she could think of doing. There hadn't been any problems with psychics since then, at least publicly. Sometimes Shinjo would call to check on her, but nothing special was going on. But she never expected the case to end like it did. Oh? She saw an unfamiliar expression in the book, so she decided to copy it down into the notebook she kept in the newspaper club. Handwriting was the best way to do this stuff, she thought. There was no class in just typing everything onto a computer. Yeah, I thought they were talking about marriage as well. I was like, well, we're gonna get married when we get older. I'm like, all right, sure. She stood up and looked for it on the steel shelves up against the wall. Ugh. But it wasn't where she thought it would be. She reached out her hands toward the back of the shelf. Oops. And the papers that had been piled there fell off. Arimura and Kazuki froze when they saw one of them. It was a big map folded many times over. She didn't have to spread it out to know what it was. It was the one the newspaper club had put on the wall when they were going over the case. But there was no need for it anymore. So the first thing Kazuki had done after she'd come back to this room was take it off the wall. Arimura had come back a few weeks later, but she hadn't said a word about it vanishing. No, it would be more accurate to say that she wouldn't. You know, come to think of it, they said Seri reacted to the light a little. It's a sign that she might wake up, they say. It was something that Shinjo had just told her on the phone. I am Groot? Kazuki turned around to look at her. What will you do? Her face seemed to say. Arimura frowned and scratched her head. We'll do exactly what Miyashiro wanted, I guess. There was nothing else she could do. That was the promise she'd made with him. I am Groot. Kazuki nodded and looked somewhere else. Arimura followed her gaze. She was looking at the chairs where Miyashiro and Serika used to sit. For what it was worth, Arimura hadn't sat there a single time since she started coming here. Then Ito's completely innocent? That was Momose's first question after hearing about what had just happened at the hospital. Correct. He really was just being mind-controlled, it seemed. It's safe to assume he has no information on the committee. The only other possibilities are Onoe and Miyashiro, but not the way things are looking, yeah. Kunasato and Momose both sighed at the same time. Sakuma was dead. They'd gone over everything he owned as well as his body, but learned barely anything. She had found, with the help of her very, very strange acquaintance in Akihabara, that Sakuma had indeed worked at the basement under AH Tokyo General Hospital, but nothing else. All the data was deleted. There was no data about Sakuma left. She hated to admit it, but the committee was good at their work, and fast. Even the police didn't seem to know who he was. That night, 3 months ago, she still didn't know what had happened between Miyashiro Onoe and Sakuma then. But if what she was imagining was correct, especially in light of her last call with Miyashiro, there was a need to question what Serika had told her at Frisia. She talked a lot about the committee, but looking back, there's a good chance it was a lie used to gain Kunisato's cooperation. As proof, even after she'd taken the psychics out of Shibuya, nothing had happened. Her hacker acquaintance had checked his network and hadn't seen anything at all. With no real reason to stay in Akihabara anymore, she'd come back to Shibuya, but while she was gone, all the threads connecting Sakuma and the committee had vanished. Either she'd screwed up, or maybe Sakuma really was of no one of importance at all. Which meant they simply gave up on him when he was no longer useful. But there was a lot of equipment that had disappeared from that underground facility. Even if he was the one who moved it, someone else must be in charge of it now. Epilogue for everybody, so no more Groots after that. If she could find out who that someone was. The other chance is Momose looked at Kunisato and tapped her own temples. In here, Chaos Child Syndrome. You're right. That was the one route she still had open to her. It was the piece of evidence she chose to use to get her revenge on the committee. That strange disease that had started showing up in certain victims of the earthquake. Her phone began to vibrate in her pocket. She saw the name on the phone and realized that it wasn't time for his usual check-in. That meant something had happened. What is it? Onoe has... She slowly stepped into the hospital room. Oh boy, time to see the new and improved Serika. The room was clean. The air was pure. She nodded, satisfied with that. It was disappointing that no one had brought any flowers, but in light of his condition, there was no helping that. The curtain was closed, so she couldn't see him from here. She walked softly, without sound. She approached the bed nervously. She put her hand on the curtain and slowly opened it. The person she was looking for was lying there. She sighed in relief, and then brought her face close to his, as if giving a kiss to a loved one. She was close enough that her short hair fell on his face. Is that Takuru? Okay. Hey, Oscar. No worries. What do I think about the announcement of Everybody 1-2 Switch and about the death of Vanpool? I never played the original 1-2 Switch. I really have no interest in Everybody 1-2 Switch. That is being sent out to just exist. It's like they have it and like, well, we got nothing else, so why not? Especially because it's coming out like a few days before Pikmin 4. About Vanpool, it sucks. It definitely sucks that they didn't stick around. He's lost a little weight, but it was still the face of the boy she'd known for years. I wonder if it's actually Ito and not Miyashiro. She opened the window. This scene is mostly true. This scene is mostly true and set up. Most of what's important to the common root plot and Serika ended during their showdown. Okay. Fresh air blew into the room. The weather was great. It was the perfect day to go outside. Let's go, Taku. Breaking news. As of 9 a.m. this morning, the killer behind the return of the new generation's madness murders, Takuru Miyashiro, disappeared from a prison hospital. The bodies of several guards were found, evidently killed in a struggle. What the hell? As for the reason the killer is being kept at the hospital, the police have stated that he was being examined as a Chaos Child Syndrome patient and that there was no problem with the site's security. Wait, did she just... I guess he screwed up on fixing her, making her a normal girl. Boy, that's an unsatisfying ending. Just pretend this doesn't exist since it doesn't tie into the common root end. Fair enough. Huh. Well, as far as the overall game, I'm going to go ahead and lower the volume a bit on this. So, as far as my thoughts on the game, this is honestly one of the first visual novels I played that has very little gameplay to it. It's mostly, talking and whatnot. Definitely a slow start. And definitely an intriguing premise. But it's also one of those things where I see what they're going for. There is a good character arc for Takuru in this. But God, is it tragic. Like, just everything about it. Like, there are very few happy endings in this, at least in this route. So, while I was certainly curious and intrigued at points, especially when the plot was really happening, I found myself mostly just lost and trying to just take it all in. So I guess that's where I put myself with that. I just sort of took it as it came. Definitely some intriguing ideas in here, but I'm actually quite curious, Soy Sauce, what the so yes, Kenny B, there is post-game content. So I believe with almost every female character, there's a way to, get all that. And yes, just wondering here, I would like a summary of the roots and true end because I don't plan on playing that. I'm not playing on stream or anything like that. So what are we missing here? Because basically, when you replay this game, you use those delusions with characters in order to somehow set up for different endings. And you play it multiple times in order to, I think, eventually unlock the true ending. I think that's how it works. I wouldn't mind checking out Famicom Detective Clubs at some point. It's certainly interesting. Game goes hard, that's for sure. As far as when the murders happens, it does not flinch from doing some truly messed up things. Let's see. Tried to summarize as best as possible all the endings in a few-page document if you want me to DM you that. Okay. Yeah, let's go with that, I guess, Soy Sauce. That'd probably be the best way to handle it. Yeah, DM that to me and I'll do my... we can read through that and sort of see what we got here. And yeah, I mean, obviously, spoiler, if you don't want to, if you want to actually play through this game yourself and experience those other endings. Wow, we're getting like a concert. What the heck? I guess this is just the singer. We're just going to assume this is the singer. Sure, why not? So the thing with like Danganronpa or Ace Attorney, those are definitely more. There's more gameplay to that. Way more gameplay. Okay, Common Root only makes up about 2/3 of the game, so yeah, you'll be missing a lot. Alright, 556 gave me incentive to play it, but after finishing Higurashi. So the question is, do people want to have me go over that ending, or just get a summary that Soy Sauce is sending me? So yeah, do people want to hear me go over it, or would they rather just experience it themselves? I'm fine either way. Fine with just reading Wikipedia? Okay. So the big thing here is that apparently oh geez. Over Sky End. A hidden story has been unlocked. Alright. Oh wow, they don't even show the others. Oh well, they have all the music. You can relive all the images you unlocked, even with the delusions. You can see the spots where you didn't do delusions and you missed some things. Sheesh. Where things get all messed up. Oh man. Oh man. All kinds of images we didn't get. Alright. So Zacian wants me to read them. So yeah, to me, this honestly, the way this works is very similar to me, like 999. Because I did do all those. All right. So, basically, if somebody can make a poll, do you want me to cover, like, read over Soy Sauce's notes, just go over a quick thing, or would you prefer just to discover it yourself? No worries, Soy Sauce. I did enjoy it. I liked having those little extra thoughts there, because I thought about some of them, but I didn't, like, wouldn't have thought about all of them. Huh. I missed some. Alright, the poll is up. Quite a bit there. Yeah, it was definitely useful, Soy Sauce. So. Oh, wow, that was a close one. Read over it on stream. Won by 2 votes over Look It Up Yourself. All right. All right, so for those of you who do not want to see, have this spoiled, this is your warning to head out or mute or whatever, because I'll do an outro kind of here as well. So here's the thing: we're basically done here, and I'm not going to start Danganronpa. I'm probably not going to start Danganronpa next Saturday as well. or Sunday, I should say, because I'm going to be away the following Sunday, and I don't want to start and then have a week off immediately. I want to have it there. So if you guys are interested, I could do a little just off thing where I either probably be very boring in Tears of the Kingdom, or I could try to see what I get on ranked mode in Street Fighter 6. And yes, we do have the subathon coming up this coming Saturday, so I got to prepare for all that. And we are doing a thing where if the more that's donated, the more that the longer we'll go. And if it's like last time where we get through it, make up the entire 12 hours that I allot myself for Saturday, we could use Sunday to fill that in and just continue more of that. So that's completely possible there. So yeah. So that's all that stuff there. So it looks like Street Fighter 6. So yeah, well, let's read through this, get our kind of wrap up. So there's your warning there, and then we'll we'll probably end this stream and I'll start up a new one just for some Street Fighter time. And that is, yes, Saturday, June 10th is when we'll be starting. Is when we'll be doing our subathon. And no, there's no costume planned. I will be getting more details ready and all that stuff, so keep an eye out for that. But it'll be starting, I believe, June 10th at 10 a.m. is the planned time. If it changes at all, I will definitely let all of you know. But that should be the plan. Amy's like, we need a costume. I don't know what costume. I don't know what costume for that sort of thing, because it's all random. So I don't know. I mean, I guess we could do a whole, like, get a onesie type thing. Bowser onesie. You know what? Okay. Amy's request. If we get to a certain point, we'll do a Bowser onesie. There we go. All right. We got that. We'll get all that figured out and whatnot. Amy is always right. That is very true. All right. So here we go. Here's how the routes break down. So according to Soy Sauce, all routes are canon and take about 3 to 5 hours to go. And the end of the credits of every route has Serika asking, "Hey Takuru, did you have fun? Did you get what you wanted?" So first up is the Arimura route. Branches off from when Takuru and Arimura are running from the Pyro Girl. There's a flashbacks that Arimura's brother died during the earthquake, but not before he reveals that Arimura was actually adopted, leading to her to wanting to know the truth versus a lie, her power. At the hospital, her mother said that she loves her, but it's a lie, and she actually blames Arimura for the death of her son. The route consists of Takuru and Arimura bonding, which then shifts to new victims appearing. A high school girl and Arimura's father. Oh, okay, so Yui does not die in that route. Interesting. She is also getting stalked and almost pushed into oncoming traffic by someone, and she starts seeing her dead brother everywhere. As Takuru tries to find answers to help Arimura, she encounters her mother, who is actually the culprit of the latter two victims, and tries to stab her. Takuru jumps in and gets stabbed instead. A few weeks later, it shows Arimura clinging to his corpse, and the club is upset over his death. But Serika smiles, since Takuru made a genuine friend and wanted to protect her in his last moments, leaving Serika satisfied with her goal. Wow. That's pretty cool. Just wondering, side note, and one ending for a route that does not have Serika saying that phrase for a reason. I'll explain later if not brought up. Okay, sounds good. All right. So that would be Arimura's route. Pretty interesting stuff. I like the idea of getting more details on Arimura and why she's not exactly fans of her family. All right. For the Hana route, our Groot girl, it also branches off when I combined their names. Takuru and Arimura are running from the Pyro Girl. They get stalked around the school, which Groot is gaming in, and it's revealed that she also has his D-Sword, which you did see in that opening. Her power is some phrases she says can become reality. So if she tells someone good luck by saying break a leg, then whoops. This caused discourse between friends and family due to death and illness, so Groot stopped talking, not wanting to hurt anyone. She spouts random things trying to stop Pyro Girl, but only succeeds when a game-like portal appears and causes Pyro Girls to explode. Oh my god! The route consists of crazy shenanigans that are happening because of things Groot said going on the loose in Shibuya, like a dragon, which we also saw. It's revealed that she's been talking to Takumi from the first game through the MMO, and how Wakui, the suspicious club advisor guy, works for the committee. I knew he was suspicious! I knew something was up there with him. Just didn't apply to this one. Wakui kidnaps Nono to deal with Takuru and Groot, who knows too much. They confront him, and Groot summons a giant sumo sticker kaiju to beat up Wakui, and that's the end of the route. What the hell? That's a wild route. Alright, the Uki route. Oh my gosh, what if Derek's sung his own version of Peaches and he plays Peach with Amy? Oh my gosh. I am Root. Alright, for the Uki route, this branches off after Yui's death. Uki shows up before Nono and tries to stab Ito with her D-sword. Takuru jumps in and gets stabbed instead. Takuru wakes up with his memory hazy, especially confused when Ito and Yui are there to greet him alongside the club at the hospital. The case is wrapped up and there's some happy bonding moments between the family, Takuru and Uki living normal lives. The route consists of things going Takuru's way, him hearing static messages from Serika and Nono from phones or TVs telling him to wake up, and then seeing brief glimpses of Uki using her D-sword. It's kind of like that Futurama episode with the bees. He confronts two Ukis, and it's revealed that she made this world for him to be happy after the tragedies. While one Uki wants to return and confront the truth of Takuru, the other wants to stay in this happy world. Takuru returns to reality, however Uki, while alive, is still trapped in the delusion, essentially in a vegetative state. A few months later, it shows Takuru pushing Uki around town on a wheelchair, having her experience a life he robbed her of. Serika bumps into them, asking Takuru if he's satisfied living this life, and Takuru says yes. Serika leaves satisfied, and Takuru promises that he'll always look after Uki and stay by her side. Wow. Whew. And now for the very much longer Nono route. Oh, just wondering here. Uki's route has two different endings. One is Serika's desired ending, and one is Uki's, where she boots the desires of herself. Uki's desired ending doesn't have Serika's phrase. Oh, okay. Eggroll, how about this? If Derek can reach his goal for paying off his car in one streamathon day, he ends the evening singing in Bowser cosplay to Amy and Peach cosplay. You know what? I like that. Amy, could you write that down just so I don't forget? I like that. I really like that one. Alright, Nono route. Takes place... Oh, all the endings revolve around Takuru being satisfied and finding something to do. Alright, Nono route. Takes place during Nono and Serika's confrontation, where Takuru shows up on time and saves her. Serika flees. Takuru questions why Nono kept quiet about her power, to which she dodges and says it's similar to Arimura's. He drops the conversation due to exhaustion and concern over Nono. The next victim is revealed to be Sakuma. Without a guardian, the family have to move out, and Momose gives them a place to stay. There's a family bonding as Takuru and Nono try their best to keep Uki and Yudo's spirits up, but they're both mentally exhausted. Kawahara, the school council guy, is concerned about Nono not showing up to school and confesses to her. Nono rejects him and blames Senri back then, and her family of getting in the way of them spending time together. What a dick. What? Nono rejects him and he blames Senri back then. Oh, he blames Senri. And her family getting in the way of them spending time together. Wow, that's rough. Jeez. Arimura asked Nono about Senri. Arimura asked Nono about Senri, and she deflects, reiterating how Senri was dead and she didn't know where she lived even back then. Arimura tells Takuru that Nono is lying. Takuru is irritated that Nono is still lying to him, confronts Kawahara about Senri, and he says that Senri was always by Nono's side. Senri was someone who was gloomy and lived in a place run by a religious group near a hospital. Takuru confronts Nono, who tells him to believe her. Sarika pops in and reveals Nono's big secret. Flashback shows Senri being experimented on in the hospital and depressed at school, that is until Nono shows up and befriends her, giving a reason for Senri to keep living. The earthquake happens and she sees Nono crushed under rubble, and Senri, powerless to save her, states how someone like Nono deserved to live instead of herself, and how she always wished to be like her. Nono, aka Senri's power, is being able to turn into Nono. Oh my god! So back to the present, Sarika leaves and Nono still denies all of this. Takuru, grasping at straws, still wants to believe Nono till the bitter end and contacts Shinjo from medical records for evidence to prove or disprove him. It's revealed by Shinjo that Senri's corpse was similar to Nono's parents. And Takuru, angry, confronts the real Senri about lying to him and the family, how she broke the rule about never keeping secrets from each other. Senri gives up and admits it, storming out afterwards, stating how she didn't want her family to hate her. Now that Takuru had some time to cool off, he reflects how Senri was there, loving and supporting him since the beginning, even when he kept pushing her away. Now, when Senri tried pushing him away, he refused to be there for the person he cares about the most. Kawahara finds Takuru and beats him up for Nono being missing, and Takuru tells him he deserves to die for what he did. Kawahara freaks out and runs. Sarika pops in and is willing to happily grant Takuru's wish. Senri appears and fights Sarika, and then during the fight and seeing how Senri would still support him, he desires for them to stay together as a family. Sarika disappears after seeing this, how Senri is giving what Takuru wants now. Senri and Takuru are both ashamed of themselves but choose to forgive and keep loving each other no matter what, because that's what families do. They visit Nono's grave afterwards with Senri no longer pretending to be someone she's not. Wow, Nono is Senri. That's crazy. Oh, I do not have piano skills. At even a little. Not even a little. Whew. Okay, the true end, which is Sarika's route, and this is the longest one. Let me get a drink, because holy crap. Alright. We start with a recap of the last few chapters of the common route, but from Sarika's point of view. One difference is Nono was stabbed, but is in a coma rather than dead. Normal Sarika wakes up with tears in her eyes, having the same dream but never remembering what it was. It's revealed that Sarika doesn't remember anything about her past at all. She goes to Shibuya to meet up with some friends, when she remembers waking up in a hospital months ago, being informed to stay away from Shibuya. She sees on the news talking about the Chaos Child Syndrome and Hekiho High School, and a friend elaborates how it's something only in Shibuya. Only in Shibuya on top of other strange incidents, with Takuru being the culprit. Sarika, who still retains Takuru's desire to seek information, decides to pop into the school to investigate. When she looks into the classroom, she sees all the students looking old and wrinkly, one person saying, "Welcome back." She heads instinctually to the club room and gets deja vu, and she sees the map of all the new gen incidents and the photo of her and Nono on the board, except Nono is all old and wrinkly, while she looks normal. Sarika confronts Momose, who gave her an apartment to stay at, as well as funds, after she woke up, about her past. Momose allows Sarika to contact Mio, who is not thrilled, but when she is authorized, tells Sarika to come to the hospital to talk. It is revealed that they are researching Chaos Child Syndrome, which appears in kids traumatized after the earthquake, so much that they refuse to accept their condition in reality and live in a shared delusion that everything is normal. The school is a project overseen by Walkaway to research the kids and how it relates to the Gigalomaniacs. Mio shows Sarika a room with 4 hospital beds, with Arimura, Groot, Uki, and Nono passed out on it. Convoluted explanation time. Everything that in the common route did happen, except Nono didn't die. At the end, Takuru passes out due to exhaustion, and Groot, Arimura, and Uki pass out as well. The common route we played, where Nono did die, as well as other routes, were all a looping shared delusion the Sarika and Takuru's head is putting them through. The end of the common route, where Sarika extended out her hand, in order to find a place where Takuru would feel fulfilled living. Takuru, wanting to confront reality, was the first to wake up from the delusions and started healing from Chaos Syndrome, aka not being wrinkly. Serika meets Takuru, and the former is scared and pissed for talking to a serial killer, and the latter is irritated at Mio for bringing Serika into the fold, and tells Serika to return to her everyday normal life, which she refuses without trying to help Nomo in some way because of that photo. Takuru laughs and starts tearing up, which confuses Serika, stating how it's too late to cry and regret what he did, and how she hates and will never forget those who murders others. Hold on, I gotta scroll down. Jeez. Takuru looks at Serika after she said that and says how he didn't regret what he did. Or he doesn't regret what he did. The plan for Shinjo, Mio, and Takuru is to make a cure for Chaos Child Syndrome that they've been researching for months now to wake everyone up. They break into the school and find an underground lab run by the committee and use a device to scan Takuru's brain since he's the one that was able to recover from it. Takuru and Serika talk so he doesn't have to pass out during the procedure, and he talks about having a best friend who was always there for him but was no longer her. The cure is complete and has a similar effect as the sumo sticker, giving a strong reaction to patients who look at it. Wakui then shows up and spouts out something about committee goals, manipulating people or something, and he offers a reality where Takuru and Serika could be happy, giving back a confused Serika some of her memories to provoke him. Takuru states that how if he and Serika stayed together, they would fuel their egos and risk of repeating it all. Wakui leaves, and Takuru returns to being a prisoner for the New Gen murders. Serika, trying to wrap her head about conflicting memories, goes to the theater to watch a play, unsure why. Everyone sees a regular play, but what Serika sees is her fight against Takuru on stage. How he kept throwing away the choice to live a normal life and decides to give Serika, who never had a choice because of him, a choice to live a normal life. She also remembers all the times he looked at her proudly through the true end whenever she showed disgust at the New Gen incident. She regains all of her memories and cries, realizing what actually happened to Takuru's best friend. A few months later, it shows the main gang doing better after recovering from the syndrome, and they continue to live their lives together and moving forward. At the hospital, Takuru is about to be transferred to a new prison, and Mio talks with him. It's revealed that Serika Onoe is an anagram for his parents' name. When he leaves, he's shocked to see Serika standing there looking at him. Her friend asks if Serika knows who that is, to which Serika puts up a teary smile and says she doesn't know him before leaving. Showing that she respects Takuru's decision to allow her to live a normal life he rejected, while also retaining his trait of always wanting to learn and seek information, this time to support people instead of egotistical gain. Takuru smiles and responds back how he doesn't know her either, and they both go their separate ways. Okay, so everybody wakes up and gets... Okay, so at least the true end is kind of happy. That's something. We'll take that. We'll take that. Excuse me. Excuse me. So just wondering here with a little extra saying each character root is also based off how each girl perceives the world since they shaped that dream along with Taku, which is why Nono's root has Kawahara being way worse than in common root, which only Taku mainly shapes. That is also why the waitress looks the way she is but never appears in the true end. This is a hint to the truth of the story if you read Chaos Head Love Choo Choo. It's definitely a bittersweet ending. Okay, yeah. Everybody gets to live but nobody gets to be together. Crazy. Crazy stuff. Alright, well, that is Chaos Child, and in roughly 2 weeks, we'll be starting Danganronpa 2. As a reminder, I never streamed the original Danganronpa, but when I was part of Game Explain, we did a game club thing where, we played through the entire game and gave our thoughts on it as we went through. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can look it up on there. I think it's still up on the channel. I honestly don't know. Otherwise, probably not a bad idea to, I don't know if Danganronpa 2 provides a backstory or like here's what happened last time, but might want to be familiar with what happened in the previous one. So that does have English voice acting though, so I don't have to read as much. So that'll be nice. So from murders to more murders, let's do it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. We're going to play on the stream some more Street Fighter. That'll be up on a separate thing on the VOD channel. Just to cool off and just, have some fun. And yeah, so look forward to that. Hope you all have a great night for those who aren't joining for Street Fighter. And we'll see you on Sunday, well, either for the subathon or for our next playthrough, Danganronpa 2. Till then, everyone. Bye.